Welcome to The Year Is, a new comedy podcast where every episode, me, comedian Bobby Mair,
and me, comedian and acclaimed historian Red Richardson.
Red, you're not an acclaimed historian.
I have a degree in history.
Yeah, you have a 2-2 in history from the 72nd best university in the country.
It's still a degree, so...
Fine. Anyways, on this podcast, we travel back in time to a year in history and talk about the most interesting and weird things from that year.
Very good. So how have you been, Bobby? Just before we dive in, because this episode, we're going to 1892, which I've done a lot of research for. I'm not sure you have.
I did do a lot of research.
Yeah? Well, you were out a lot.
I wasn't out. Red, okay. So this is definitely white people problems, but for the last 3 weeks, we've had people redoing our bathroom in the house, which means every day, 3 old men show up at our door at 8 a.m.
Do they make you feel useless?
They not only make me feel useless when I go back to bed. That's the worst thing. You go back to sleep full of shame.
Yeah.
So you let them in. They demand coffee.
Yeah.
Right away, you open the door and they say, "Can I have a coffee?" And you're like, you're holding a coffee. The man is holding a full coffee and asks for another coffee.
Yeah.
So now I'm making coffee at 8 in the morning. I make them their coffees. I go lay in bed for a while, and then I'm just up.
But your bathroom's right by your bedroom, so aren't they just banging on the thing when you're...
I can sleep through anything.
Okay, that's good.
Seriously, I
can
sleep...
That's good because you're having a baby.
That's not good because I'm having a baby, because I could definitely sleep through my baby. I could sleep... I'm trying to think of the craziest places I've slept. I used to do a show every day at the Edinburgh Fringe Festival, and I would fall asleep in the back of the showroom while the show was happening for about 20 minutes and then wake up and go on stage.
Oh, so it wasn't a solo show?
No, it was a compilation show.
Okay,
no,
that's right.
Falling asleep during my own show. Right?
Who would wake you up?
I would just I'd hear Bobby Mair, and I'd go...
No way.
I'd kind of just, someone would shake me awake, and I'd just get up and go
Why
on.
were you so tired?
I just like to sleep.
Yeah.
The best thing about sleeping is your mind stops going.
Well, it goes other places.
Yeah.
It's bad when you're having a good dream and someone wakes you up and you're like, I was just,
Yeah, I did.
hanging out with Michael Jordan in a Wetherspoons.
Did I tell you about my Elon Musk dream?
No.
Okay, no one ever wants to hear about dreams.
No, because they're usually boring, yeah.
They are boring, but I had a dream where Elon Musk told me he'd pay off my mortgage, but then I couldn't find my bank details.
That's exactly
And it
what
was so frustrating. It felt so real. And then he just gave me like 2 £10,000 notes, and I put them in my pocket. And then I woke up from the dream and reached into my pocket to see if they were there. And then sadly...
£10,000 notes.
I don't know if it's a real currency.
It's not, no.
Well, you don't... How would you know?
Because I've seen
the
money
times
before.
in your life when someone's given you £10,000, Red, they haven't given you a note. You have no proof there is no £10,000 note.
I think it's out there. You can see what the currencies are. And what
Okay, what's the highest denomination then?
It's a £50 note, isn't it? £50 note.
I'll look it up.
Okay, go ahead. I'm pretty sure it's a £50 note. A £10,000 note. Imagine if you wanted a pack of crisps. All I have is this. And no one even takes notes anymore anyway.
You're about to feel very stupid. The Bank of England released a £100 million note, also referred to as Titan.
Who's that for, though?
It's for people who are worth £100 million. So big... high rollers like me and Elon, we throw £10,000 notes around all the time.
Imagine if you lost your £100 million note. Also, what are you buying with £100 million?
I don't think it's an actual physical note.
Of course it's
not. I think
it's like a stunt.
Yes.
Yeah, but I suppose okay. Well, I have been proven wrong.
Yeah. How does it feel to be wrong?
It's a new feeling.
It's not a new feeling. You were wrong all the time.
I don't know how it feels yet. I need to reassess because I'm not used to this. So what else have you been doing apart from being cucked by builders?
I haven't been cucked, Brent. They're there all the time, and they just watch you
live.
You just feel so judged.
Yeah.
They arrive at 8 a.m. I don't want to get dressed at 8 a.m.
No.
But they're dressed.
No.
They live an hour and a half away. They woke up at 5 in the morning to come here for 8 and fix my house because I don't have any of those skills.
I've had it so much, and you wake up and you're still like, ugh, and they're like, ask you questions like, "Where's the generator?" It's like, how fuck should I know?
Oh yeah, he was like, "Where's the tap that shuts off the hot water?" I was like, "I have no idea.
It's
Why would
in
I?"
the bath. That's where it is.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
got
yeah.
a red dot that says "hot" on it.
Yeah, that's the. I don't know how my house works.
No. I know, you do sort of feel quite useless.
I just felt inept. And then, yeah, you get dressed around 1 and they're just like halfway through their day.
Yeah.
And you checked your email and feel like you've accomplished something.
Yeah.
It's just like, oh, God. Like,
I always do a thing where I stand around and nod as if I kind of know what's going on.
and the one guy who was the main, there was like the main builder and then the guy helping him. The guy helping him, I thought was younger than me because he looked pretty young. He was a big guy, big, strong guy, doing great work. He fixed the floor in here, actually. How's it look?
Looks great.
Thank you. And I said, "Oh, how old are you?" He said, "I'm 53 years old." I thought he was
Jesus.
29.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, that's weird. You think because builders usually live quite a rough lifestyle.
Now, this guy. So now I felt old,
Weak.
looking, weak,
Lazy. Useless.
Anymore?
Pathetic.
Yes.
Emasculated.
Yes.
Unfit husband. I think I'm done.
It would have been fair. They're not quite done, but they're pretty much done their work here. And it would have been fair if at the end they just said, "Harriet, are you coming with us?" And she just left with them.
I think my
We
baby
will raise
is
this
so...
baby.
Yeah.
We're going to raise this baby. You stay here and lay on the couch. Because that's what you like to do, Bobby. We've seen what you get up to. You lay on the couch while your wife wakes up and makes us coffee.
Oh, so you don't make them coffee?
I do make the coffee sometimes, but Harriet often makes more of the...
Yeah.
She's an
So
early riser.
Your pregnant wife makes some coffee.
She's pregnant. She's not red. Pregnant people don't want to be discriminated against. They can make coffees.
Yeah, okay. No, that's fair enough. Well, that seems like
Is how I pitched it to her.
yeah.
So please go and make them a coffee so I could go back to sleep. Oh, it was just... And like, I can't do anything.
Mm.
What's the most physical thing you can do? I've seen you chop wood.
I can chop wood. Where do you see me chop wood?
Wait, no, I dreamed it. That was a dream.
Okay, yeah. Well, I can chop wood. I can pick stuff. I've moved your fucking furniture around because every time I come around here, you make me renovate your house for you.
It's not that I make you renovate. I just have things I need moved, and I can't ask my pregnant wife. She's busy making coffee. So I say, well, when Red comes over next, he'll help me with it because he's my best friend. And then you come over and you act like it's like I've pinched one of your nipples until it bled when I ask you to help me lift a couch. You'd rather I just hoisted the couch on the back of my pregnant wife.
Well, if you lived in the Himalayas...
We told the story of you carrying the pillows yet?
Yeah, we did. Yeah, we were talking about.
Yeah, well, let's just reiterate that when I moved, you carried 2 pillows while we were carrying very heavy things.
But I think if you lived in the Himalayas or something, you and Harriet would be dragging an ox around or something, you know.
What?
Look, in the West, we're very soft, and we...
You are very soft. You're talking about yourself. Don't say the collective we to excuse your own laziness.
I think you and Harriet need a bit more Himalayan spirit, a bit more grit.
Well, today, as we've said, we're talking about 1892.
Yeah.
It was a year of innovations. I think we should just start by the most interesting innovation that year because there's quite a few of them.
Okay.
The first one kind of ties into what we're talking about and our own laziness.
Yeah.
And that is the invention of the escalator.
Okay.
It was invented by Jesse W. Reno, and he patented the first escalator at Coney Beach.
That is a genius idea because they are very helpful. The funny thing about that idea is the fact that he invented that is that it's the laziest idea, but it's so innovative. You know what I mean? So he's obviously a very lazy but intelligent, hardworking on the other side of it, man. Like one day he's walking up some stairs just going, I fucking hate this. What if someone could literally just slide me to the top? And then he went about making, if you don't get it done yourself, no one else will. When the escalator was first invented, can you imagine the older people going, this is the fucking most indulgent, laziest thing I've ever heard of?
Oh, yeah. Anyone over kind of 25 would be like, I'm not getting on one of those things.
Because they'd all been like horseback and stuff like that, and then suddenly it's like the new generation, whatever they were called, just like, yeah, we just stand and it takes us to the top. So you think in like 60 years, it'd be like our grandkids. It's like, it's an effort using a knife and fork. So we have this new machine where it just slides food into your mouth.
But what's so annoying about the escalator, invented 1892, that is 130 years ago.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Almost.
Yeah. Give or take.
Still, what do we have in our house? Stairs.
Yeah, that's true.
We have stairs.
That's
true.
true.
You go to the tube. You have to walk down a flight of stairs sometimes.
Yeah,
to get onto a train, there's stairs.
Yeah.
It's like if the car was invented and then 130 years later, we're still like, yeah, let's ride a horse.
I find it weird when you're on an escalator and you see people running up it. Because you just go enjoy what it's there for.
You mean when they're running in the same direction as the escalator?
No, when they literally run up the side of the escalator. And you're like, why? It's an escalator. Lean on the handrail and let it do the heavy work. Enjoy what it's there for.
You ever see those people? It's always like late at night and they're always drunk. And it's always the tube escalators.
Yeah.
And they're always trying to run up
the
escalator the wrong way. So the escalator's going down and they try to run up it. And I love watching when they fall and hit their face on the metal.
Yeah. It's always good.
I get way more satisfaction than they would get from finishing their run. Yeah. I'm like, this is my running up an escalator, watching you hit your face on metal.
Have you ever caught eye contact with someone who's going down and you're going up and you just sort of stare at each other for a while and it's like, you're fine, you know? Because there's a protective barrier in the fact that you're both going different directions.
I always find no one likes eye contact as much as I do.
Yeah, I've noticed that.
You always look away.
Yeah, because it gets intense after a bit.
But if you just keep the connection going, who knows where it'll end up?
I don't want to know where it will end up.
Just oily massages. There's parts of your body we didn't know could have oil on them that I'll find.
Oh my God.
I usually stand just on the escalator like you're talking about, but sometimes, you know how like obviously you stand on the right and you walk down on the left. If people are standing on the left, then to shame them, I will walk down and say, "Excuse me."
Yeah, that's good.
I want them to know.
Public duty.
That's the one thing. In Canada, that's not really a thing. I mean, there's no, here you have official escalator etiquette. That's not, in North America, it's less stated. Like a lot of people would stand on the left side of an escalator in North America.
Yeah.
But here, very clear. This is how it works. I don't know if somebody sat down and made a rule book. But it is like in stone. Yeah.
Everyone knows.
And I like that. I like the officiousness of your country.
No, it's good. I never got the floor escalator, you know, when it's a floor that moves. You get them at some stations. They got them at Waterloo. And you go, what's the point in this?
Oh, it's great, though. At an airport, when you have your bags.
Does it matter? Does it help?
Red, how can you like an escalator that stops you from having walking downstairs is easier than walking across floor?
Yeah, but you can lean and look down as you go down. It's quite nice. Quite relaxing.
You can lean on the flat escalator.
Yeah, but they're just really slow, and I just sort of never thought there was much point to them.
I guarantee you don't walk faster than a flat escalator.
I walk really fast.
Do you?
Yeah, you see me walk.
Maybe I thought you were running.
Yeah. No, I think if there was some form of walking championships, I'd do quite well. I could walk faster than you, I bet.
You think you can walk faster than me?
Yeah.
Are there any other sports you think you're better than me at?
Yes, loads. Football, probably not tennis because you played that. Probably better than you at snooker. Probably better than you at darts.
I'm probably better at you than... No, snooker I could beat you at.
I don't think so.
Darts?
Yeah, I don't think you're better than me at darts. I've never even really played darts. I just imagine you're not very good.
You've never played darts.
I don't see you being able to connect your mind to your hand movement, you know? I think your brain sends signals and they just go somewhere out there, you know? What sports are you good at? Hockey.
I'm not good at hockey.
Netball.
I love golf, and you know that about me.
Oh, yeah, you do play golf. That's not really a sport, though, is it?
No, it's a leisure activity.
Yes, for rich men.
It's not for rich men. It's for anyone.
Where you get £10,000 notes.
Yes.
I don't really play much sport anymore.
We can tell. We know, Red. Nobody's looking at you and thinking, wow, I wonder what athletic game this man just came from. Oh, it looks like he just climbed a mountain without a harness.
Well, this is interesting you're saying this, because when I did my research, I discovered that in 1892, James Naismith published the rules for basketball for the first time. And it was in an article for the Springfield YMCA International Training School. And it was called A New Game. And it was the first ever game of basketball. The first rules ever created. Which I have always had a problem with basketball, because I'm 5'8", and I feel like James Naismith wasn't designing a sport. He was designing a form of torture for short people. And he was a sadist.
You could play it with just other short people. Like
we feel it's too triggering. We don't want anyone to go near it.
You know those teams of like professional dwarf basketball players that kind of travel around?
I'm not sure you call them that now, but yeah, carry on, Bobby.
That is the word they use.
Okay.
To describe themselves?
I'm sure, yeah. Go on, carry on, sorry. What, you want me to join a dwarf basketball team?
I'm just saying I'm
5'8".
Exactly. The only way in your life for you to feel like you have athletic prowess is to be surrounded by people you're a foot taller than.
I quite like that, actually. No, it's I reckon he invented this game because his girlfriend got stolen by a hot short guy, which happens a lot. The ladies love anything under 6 foot. Is what? You're like 6'2".
I'm around 6 feet.
Yeah, you're 2 inches over acceptable. Under 6 foot in the Western world has long been a desirable height for women, especially in 1892. You were seen as very, very eligible.
Have you ever been to a country where you're tall? Like you know, like an Asian country.
I went to Malaysia.
Did you feel tall?
Not really. It's probably just like. Because, yeah, I didn't
Maybe
really
you'd have to be amongst like a pygmy tribe or something.
I have to go find one and then become...
I actually watched a documentary on the pygmy tribes, and I would say similar body shape.
No, I would like to go out there and become like their Michael Jordan. You know? Yeah, it's funny that, but it's... I remember going to a girl's birthday party, and she was 4 years old, and I was like 8, and I'd been playing football for ages, and they had a football match for the birthday party in this little leisure centre.
So you were 8 years old playing against 4-year-olds.
And I was like really into football, and I dominated the game, and the referee ended up saying you can't play anymore because I was just smashing in goals. It was incredible.
Yeah, but you were playing against 4-year-olds.
Yeah, I know.
Their brains are... they literally just learned how to run. Like within a year of playing the game, they learned the art of running.
They learned a big lesson that day as well about
Richardson is a loser was the lesson they learned that day. And I'm sure now in their late 20s, they think, remember that loser?
Who just tried really hard. Did you ever play basketball? You're the right height.
No, I mean, never like in a game, you know, you play amongst friends. I can't jump, really.
No.
I'm not strong. I'm not coordinated.
Yeah. I always just dislike it because you always see it in films and like two cops will play together on a one-on-one, and there's always a cheesy scene like that. There just seems to be a sort of crap element of it that I don't like the outfits and stuff.
I like that it's a sport that has risen a lot of people like out of poverty because all you need is a ball. Like I like the aspirational element of basketball
and concrete, so you don't need a special.
Exactly. So that is quite cool because a lot of sports are so elitist, like golf or cricket.
What about all
race car driving? Even like you need a race car.
What about all the short, poor people?
Well, they can play amongst themselves. They should have I've always said. They should have a basketball league for people under 6 foot. Because you got to think, there's basketball players who are 5'11".
Yeah.
Who are as good as Michael Jordan. There's probably someone out there who's as technically good at basketball as Michael Jordan or LeBron or Kobe, but they're 5'11", so they can't physically dominate the game.
That's why it's an elitist sport that I don't like. Because with other sports, it doesn't matter.
Every sport...
Mike Tyson was 5'10". knocking out 6'8" guys. In like you see like Shaquille O'Neal, and he's like 7. You're like, that's not. You're just really big, aren't you?
But I don't think Tyson could have got near Tyson Fury.
He probably could. Hit the body, work the gut. You never know. When he was in his prime, who knows?
You think 20-year-old Mike Tyson could take, what is it? How old's Tyson Fury? 32?
32, 6'9". Do
you think that matchup now?
You never know. You never know. But the point I'm making is that you can use certain skills to eliminate physical advantages, which you can't do in basketball, and that's why it's a shit sport that should be banned. Because it's unfair until. But do you know how amount of times I'd be in PE and I'd have the ball just thrown over my head, and they just do it all game and laugh, and I'd be there jumping, going yeah, like a little twat.
That makes sense though.
It's weird because Kim Jong-un loves basketball. And he's about 5'1".
Yeah, I mean, you again, that's your body type. You and Kim Jong-un. You could be one of, sometimes they send out...
This is called The Year Is, not Fat Shame Red podcast.
I'm not fat shaming. I'm just talking about the people that have the same body as you.
What, Kim Jong-un does not have the same body as me?
Red, if we put
He's
photos...
dying.
No, that's a rumor. I've started rumors that you're dying.
Why would you do that?
Well, if people just say, is Red okay? I'm like, actually,
that's
sorry
weird.
if he was a bit aggressive, but he's dying. And then people like you more. I'm just trying to make people like you.
That's strange because no one's been any nicer to me. So I don't know what that says.
They didn't care.
They either don't believe you or they hate me. It's one of the two.
Or both.
Or they're just indifferent. They're like, oh, is he? Okay. And Kim Jong-un went to school in Switzerland.
Did he?
Yeah, for a bit as a kid. Imagine being in Kim Jong-un's class.
I bet he was just quiet and annoying.
They said he displayed attributes to be a leader. Like, what was he doing? Just fucking throwing shit at people. Kicking people in the shins. Everyone hated him. Is basketball big in Canada?
Well, I mean, there's the Toronto Raptors, and there's other. I think the Grizzlies are in Vancouver. I think
it's weird how people back then they'd invent a skill that would or invent a game that would somehow catch on and then make people billionaires in our era.
The thing about James Naismith is he invented a game that he wasn't even great at.
Why? I don't know what he did.
He was a middle-aged man when he invented basketball.
Oh, really?
What I'm saying is, if I'm going to invent a sport, I'm going to figure out what am I the best at.
Yeah.
And then invent a game where I'm the best player.
No, of course.
I would invent a game and try to popularize the Sleep Olympics.
Yeah.
Can you sleep anywhere?
Anywhere.
Yeah, and then it's just me.
100,000 people filling out stadiums every year.
Yeah.
They're like,
go to sleep. And then
there's Netflix documentaries made about you. Colleagues being like, he was next level. I thought I could sleep until I met Bobby.
We surrounded him by 20 crying babies.
Yeah.
And he went to sleep without a problem. The babies really needed help, so it wasn't actually a tragedy in the long run. Those babies, they were very hungry, and he didn't feed them because he went to sleep, but he's a world champion.
Yeah. You'd go to extreme places and sleep. No, it's a weird, I've got special skills that no one cares about, and if 120 years ago someone made a popular sport about them, I could be very rich now. I can turn on a bath, go into another room, and come back at exactly the same point every time. So
really?
Yeah, exactly the same. And no one gives a shit about it. But that takes probably the same mental and... not physical, but mental strength it took Jordan to be that good at basketball.
But somehow, every week, you're late for this podcast.
I do a lot of research, and I have a very busy life. I've got a lot of other projects going on.
Red, you have nothing.
I'm writing a novel, which is taking up a lot of my time.
What's your novel about, then?
It's about a divorcee French man who travels to Thailand in order to... try and reclaim his youth.
That's the nicest spin I've ever heard on pedophilia. That's great, Red.
I literally made that up on the spot, and then it instantly sounds like a nonce book.
What a great... That's the world That's the novel 2021 needs,
Yeah.
Red. With all the social change that's happening, Red Richardson is writing a book where he sympathizes with a pedophile that goes to Thailand.
Yeah, he's a traveling man of mystery, but he's the criminal. It's a flip on James Bond.
Oh, I see.
He's out of shape. He's disgusting. He's not charming, and he's the bad guy.
Okay.
I'd read that. No, I wouldn't. I wouldn't write it either.
You're arguing with yourself now.
I am. I had to think on my feet, and that's just what came out. That's why I'm glad I'm not a politician. What's your plan for the country? I'm going to Thailand. What? You got anything else, Bobby? What's your limited research brought up this week?
Well, it wasn't limited. It was focused.
Okay.
1892 was a very sad year for criminals because the world's first fingerprinting bureau was opened by the Buenos Aires chief of police.
So that's the first time people could be caught doing with fingerprint technology.
Yeah.
That would be so crap to be the first guy. And you wouldn't even know, probably, you know? They go, oh, we caught you robbing the house. And you go, how? Because the lines on your hands match the lines on, you know? Who would have, at that time, if you're a common thief, would you go, I wonder if this is different to anyone else's, you know? Your palms.
You would never.
No, you'd be gutted. Good year for glove companies, though.
Yeah. I feel like the glove industry.
They really won. Is it cold outside? Want to strangle your brother?
Wear a set of gloves.
Because you'll definitely get away with it.
Hey, has your neighbor really been bothering you? And you want to bash their head in with a hammer? But you're worried about those new pesky fingerprints that everybody keeps going on about? Well, try our new latex gloves. You can put them on, put the hammer in your hand, bash his skull in, take off the glove, and no one will see that it was you. Yeah, that I would say the invention of fingerprints, that is what has helped the most, is the glove industry.
Yeah. It's probably a horror. I would hate to think of the percentage of gloves that are sold to stop people knowing you were somewhere, you know? There's probably quite a few. The thieves, I think, that's a tough run because you're just nicking a few things, aren't you? And then you just think, I'll just open the door and take a few, and then suddenly someone's dusting a thing off and they go, this is your hand.
Yeah, actually, the first guy who was convicted on DNA evidence just got out of prison and they put him back in prison.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he was a horrible. He had murdered a couple people. It was horrible.
They've done that a lot with like that Golden State Killer guy and stuff.
But this case was interesting. I think it was a town near Leicester, and they DNA tested the whole town.
Really?
It was when DNA first came out, and everyone was like, "Hey, do you want to get your DNA checked?"
And they're like, "Yeah, why not? I'll go check it out."
Would you give your DNA to the government?
They've already got it.
Why?
I don't know. NHS, you know, they all have it. It's everywhere.
It's everywhere.
Matt Hancock's
You're just coming and bleeding wherever you go. My DNA is everywhere.
It's all over the place.
I'm pissing, coming, bleeding. You can find me. You never hear about DNA tests from urine. Can you tell?
Yeah, I don't know. In dramas, I was trying to get someone's hair, like pull a bit of hair out of a kid's head to see if he's the same, you know. But it's insane. Like that Golden State Killer, they like narrowed the DNA down to a family that went back, a family tree from like 300 years and like slowly worked out who it was. It's not easy to be a criminal these days.
It's so hard.
Because and also everything's on camera. So I was thinking, man, I'm trying to be in the mafia now. And it's like just fucking everyone's TikToking while you're trying to shoot a rival in the street. You know, you just like everyone's got a phone out.
There must be a thing where the mafia is trying to get an online crime, and then the hackers are like, we don't really need you for this. You know?
Yeah.
Like some guy
yeah.
who used to beat up people who worked in his nightclub or that he'd shake down for money. The hacker's like, we can just hack.
We don't need you at all. I can do this from my mum's basement, and I don't have to meet people who used to tie stuff around my neck on the school bus.
Like when COVID happened, I Googled, how do you make a vaccine? Like I was going to crack it. Did you do that?
No.
I thought
How do
maybe.
you make it? What? Because the answer would be there on Google, and the government just had not thought of that
I
yet.
thought maybe I have some hidden knowledge. Maybe I have something inside of me that I just didn't know was there, and I'm going to start.
15-year-old on Reddit might have the answer.
I'm going to start reading about how to make vaccines, and I'm going to think, oh, what if we just put this thing and this thing together, and then I could have cracked it?
Where did you think you were going to find this?
I don't know. The internet's got a lot of information.
On YouTube comments. Someone's like, you look disgusting in this video, you slag. Oh, by the way, here's a vaccine cure.
But then I read all these stories when crypto was blowing up. I read all these stories about teenagers hacking into people's crypto accounts and stealing all their money. And then I thought, I wonder how hard that is. So I Googled like how to hack crypto. Also very difficult.
I'm sure.
Yeah, I keep really thinking like I can just in a day learn something that took people 20 years to learn.
I think if you have to Google it, you usually can't do it.
Yeah.
that's especially with something like a vaccine. How do you make a vaccine?
I just thought maybe I got some stuff lying around the house. I'm in lockdown. What else can I do?
There's a child on MySpace for some reason, and no one uses the website anymore, so he's just being ignored. And what you thought, I've got some eggs, a bit of Marmite, and then you microwave it.
There's not that many things that could go in.
What would you, if you had 10 minutes to make a vaccine that you think could kill coronavirus, what would you go for? With household appliances.
Well, the thing is, I know how to kill coronavirus. I just don't know how to keep the person alive while I kill it.
How'd you kill it?
You kill the person.
That's your vaccine.
So I'm just saying.
Your vaccine was mass suicide.
I could, if you had said, I have COVID, can you kill my COVID? I'd say yes, but you also will die in the process. So it's not, I do have medical ideas. They're just.
Could you not get COVID from me whilst killing me?
I'd do it from far, I'd shoot you from far away.
You'd wear gloves.
Yes.
Well. Definitely, and a mask.
And a mask, definitely. I want to be COVID safe while I kill COVID.
Throttle me, but turn away with your mask whilst doing it, wearing your brown leather gloves.
Yeah, listen, I still have medical knowledge. I have the medical knowledge of how to get rid of COVID. I just don't have extensive enough medical knowledge to keep you alive while I do it.
Yeah.
So it's a start. That was my vaccine beginning. My vaccine beginning was, what if you killed everyone that had COVID? Would that work? And I realized no. So then I moved on to like, what else would work? And then by the time my vaccine was getting into development, Pfizer and Moderna and AstraZeneca, they'd already figured it out.
They jumped on your wave.
Yeah, they got in there a bit quicker than me. But if I had another couple years, we don't know what I would have came up with.
You were doing it before it was cool, weren't you?
Yes.
It's like you're not a doctor. Someone says, I got a headache. You go, here's a gun, shoot yourself.
I would get rid of the headache, though. Technically, I want my headache to stop. Well, if you weren't alive, you wouldn't have a headache. That would be my medical answer to everything.
Yeah, there'd be a podcast made about you, that's for sure.
Well, yeah, a doctor with 100% success rate. Why are we judging all of medicine with whether or not the patient lives?
Because that's the point of medicine. That's why it's medicine, to make you better.
Yes, I am more. I want to win at all costs. You have cancer. I want to get rid of your cancer. Well, what if I cut off all the limbs that have cancer in it? Now you're just a head, but your head doesn't have cancer. Solved it.
Well, we more from Dr. Bobby every week, actually, if you have any medical advice needed.
Yeah, if you're listening.
Don't sue us or do any of what he says.
Yeah, if you're listening, I would just like to say that my medical knowledge is limited, and this is not advice, it's just my thoughts.
Yeah, he's not qualified.
Oh, well, I am qualified in a sense.
You're a less qualified doctor than I am a historian.
I had a doctor when I was like 23, and I had been diagnosed with borderline personality disorder, and I went to him to get antidepressants. And he was wearing, I didn't know him, I was just the nearest doctor to my house, and he was wearing like a poker sweatshirt.
Are you sure he was a doctor?
And when I walked into the room, he was playing poker on his computer.
I'm not sure this is a doctor, Bobby. Did he make you close your eyes and open your mouth?
Hear me out. Then I said, Yeah, I'd been told I have borderline personality disorder. I was wondering if I could get some antidepressants just to, try to limit the anxiety. And he said, Jesus Christ, people like you never get better. Fine. But
you were 23. That's such a damning thing.
And he said
he was right, but like
he was not right. I have improved. And he said, just get a different doctor.
What?
And then he said, don't report me to the medical college. And I could already tell this was an insane man who was able to write prescriptions.
Yeah.
So I literally didn't call him up on it and just said, oh yeah, okay, no worries. That's fine. Interesting. And I got my prescription, which is all I needed. And when I got home, I Googled him, and there was like kind of a TripAdvisor for doctors website. I think it was like WebMD or something I'd found. And it was complaints about him that were insane. One lady was like, I brought my pregnant teenage daughter in to see him. And when he examined her, he said, Jesus Christ, and left the room and didn't come back.
He sounds brilliant.
He was a debilitated gambling addict who hated being a doctor and had very limited medical knowledge. And then, like the fourth time I went to get my prescription refilled, I went to his offices and they were just boarded up, and I never saw him again.
No, he's probably not allowed around people anymore.
Yeah, I don't know how medical licenses work, but I feel like he was about as qualified to have one as I am.
Yeah, no, it sounds like your advice is slightly better. Jesus Christ, and left the room. Oh, God, that's great. So, Bobby, have you ever heard of Timothy the Tortoise?
No.
Okay, well, you're about to. Quite the colourful life Timothy had. In 1892, 50-year-old Timothy was brought to Powderham Castle in England, where she lived until her death in 2004. So she lived to 165 years old and was served in the Royal Navy.
I hate turtles.
Why? This is a tortoise.
They're the same thing, aren't they?
Are they? I don't know.
What's the difference?
I got to remember my Mensa years. One of them's bigger.
Okay. I hate tortoises.
Yeah, okay. Why?
Because they live longer than us.
165 years.
I don't like that. I like being the species that lives the longest. I don't like the idea that there's some other species out there where I'm going to get a pet tortoise and then I'm going to die and my kids are still going to have this tortoise. And the tortoise is going to look at me like I look at a fly. I don't like that at all. So I kind of hate Timothy for existing.
Huge life Timothy had. One of the things is, because I said she, Timothy was a girl, but they didn't know how to check the gender of tortoises back then, and everyone assumed it was a boy, and was called Timothy, and they tried to breed Timothy for years until someone discovered, oh, no, wait, it's actually a female, and we've been calling it Timothy the whole time. So even though you hate tortoises, bear in mind this female tortoise spent 165 years being called Timothy, if that makes you feel better.
What I like about tortoises is, yes, they live longer than me, but they have really tiny dicks. So, haha, you get to live 165 years with your tiny dick.
And everyone goes, it's a woman.
Yeah.
Timothy was believed to have been born in the Mediterranean shores off Turkey and was found aboard a Portuguese privateer in 1854, aged around 10, by Captain John Guy Courtney Everett of the Royal Navy. Quite the name, that. The tortoise served as a mascot on a series of Navy vessels until 1892, when she retired from the Navy. I don't think she retired. Do you know what I mean? That's how they put it here. She retired to live out her life on dry land, taken by the Earl of Devon at his home, Powderham Castle. So she lived in the Rose Garden there. When I looked into her, there was a picture of Timothy, and she had a sign around her neck that said, "My name is Timothy. I'm very old. Please do not pick me up." So you can only imagine what had been going on. And so I think, in answer to your issue with turtles at the beginning, sometimes a long life isn't a good life, because I don't think a woman called Timothy who was just constantly picked up by weird strangers.
I think Timothy would like you.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you're shaped like a tortoise.
How many is that this week?
No, I'm not saying I'm not. It's not.
How many times have we done the shape, body shape? Have I mentioned your shape once on this podcast? Could say you look like a carrot.
I'm fine with that.
Or
thank you.
A long cigarette because you're pale and red at the top.
And you'd like to put me in your mouth, you fucking weirdo. Feet first, and then put all of it in and just suck it dry.
I've never put a cigarette out on a tortoise, and you would have.
You have no evidence. I love animals.
You do like animals. I don't think it's nice to keep animals. I just don't get it. When people go, oh, my cat's gone missing. It's like, it hasn't gone missing. It's either been hit by a car or it's run away from you.
Yes, but there's no alternative at this point, Red. I have a dog. What am I going to do? Set it free and just the cavapoos roam? They're not allowed to. You can't. It's with a domesticated pet. The dog couldn't survive in the world.
I don't know why we domesticate them. They could be.
Because they were great for hunting and
Your
companionship.
cavapoo is great for hunting.
But at some point, dogs were domesticated because they were very useful.
What's your dog for?
My dog is for
insecure people to feel needed. It was bred for insecure people.
My dog...
I need a fluffy pillow that needs me.
My dog is for loving me.
Yes, exactly.
I spent a couple £1,000, so I have something that always loves me.
It's like a scientifically bred mail order bride.
Someday, you're going to feel very lonely, and you're going to think, I wish I liked animals that I could buy love, but I don't, so I'm alone. And I'll have my dog beside me. We'll both be divorced, but you'll be sadder.
I'll have a tortoise.
Yeah. And when you die...
It'll have a sign around its neck saying, Bobby, please don't put cigarettes out on me.
I would not put cigarettes out on a tortoise.
I know, I'm sorry. I don't know why I'm saying that. It's not nice. But it does sound like, he went and lived in the lettuce garden. But that's quite a long... She lived through 2 world wars. She lived through the JFK assassination. She lived through us being born. Lived through...
You think that was on her list?
9/11.
Timothy, what have you seen?
I've seen Red and Bobby and 2 world wars or something like that. So yeah, that's a good... I just thought it was an interesting anecdote. It's weird because you go, could this be a film? You go, no, it couldn't because they're quite boring animals. What would it be? It would just be loads of sailors doing horrible stuff for about 10 minutes and then just someone sat in a rose garden being misgendered for 130 years.
Yeah, it'd be a very problematic film.
Yeah, I don't think it would be good. So I thought that was a nice bit of info from the 1892, the retiring of Timothy the Tortoise. And I still don't know the difference between that and a turtle.
You never will.
No, I don't think I will. I should Google it after, but I can't be bothered. Do you got anything?
I cover a lot more of the heavy stories, the interesting, in-depth stories, whereas you come up with your puff pieces about fucking tortoise.
Yeah.
So, I don't know if you know this, but in 1892, Waldemar Hufkeen tested the first human vaccine against cholera.
Okay.
He was a Ukrainian biologist, and he risked his life by testing it on himself.
Was this after Googling, or did he just go for it? This is the Ukrainian 100 years ago you.
Yeah, but for him, he didn't have Google, but he asked the world, how do you invent a vaccine? And the idea popped into his head. He figured it out. A small amount of the virus, let your body get used to fighting it. So that's what he did. He invented a cholera vaccine.
That's impressive, and it worked.
It worked.
Yeah.
But no one believed him.
So there was anti-vaxxers back then.
Yes!
Don't take my freedom, baby. So why did no one believe him? Because it worked on him, and he's like, look, it works.
And then France, Germany, and Russia were like, it doesn't work. So we went to India, and there was a lot of cholera in India, so we started vaccinating people there.
I'm not being mean, but if you invented a vaccine, I don't think I'd try it. Not because, but it's just something about he might have been... had a U vibe, you know?
Yeah, at the time, it's not like it's big pharma where it's a corporation where you either distrust or trust.
It's a wide-eyed guy with a pot.
He's like, guys, I'm going to give you this, and then you can drink whatever shit water you want. You won't get cholera. And you're like, I don't know if I trust your lab.
Yeah. Your house/lab.
Yeah.
Jeez, that's impressive, though. Why? See, he's probably famous to some people, but there's so many pointless famous people now, and then you go back in history and you're like, this is, Like the guy with the escalator. I've already forgotten his name. Which I will because it's important. Jesse W. Renault and our man in the Ukraine, Vladimir Hufking.
Why did you just do that?
I tried to say his name, Bobby. You try.
Vladimir Hufking?
Vladimir Hufking, yeah. So that's we got it right. No, I just want to... People need to know about these people because they're important. Okay?
They're the real heroes
They
of
are
history.
the real heroes.
I think, if anything, that's what we're trying to do, is shed light upon forgotten parts of history.
Yes, and hopefully make money at some point.
We will start a Patreon once.
Yes, once we've spread the word of Vladimir Hufkin.
Yes.
Yes. He must have gotten his name said wrong lots of times back then.
It would have been difficult for him.
Imagine that, though, knowing you've got the vaccine and just knowing, you go on, drink it.
And I don't think they drank it. I think they probably injected it. It wasn't like a juice.
Go on.
You think the vaccine for cholera was a drink?
I think he was probably had it like he'd had it in an emptied out jam jar or something, something like that. Yeah, because, but yeah, no, he probably would have faced much the same issues you would have in terms of, oh, this guy might have the thing, but I'm not sure.
The thing with cholera is it killed millions of people. You know what cholera is caused by?
Was it mosquitoes? No.
No.
Dirty
cholera
water.
Is when human feces gets into the water. So it's usually in poorer nations.
Yeah.
Feces gets into the water.
Yeah.
And then the bacteria in human feces, if you drink it, will give you cholera.
Okay.
So the modern water system we have pretty much eliminated it from the West.
Nice.
But it still does happen some places.
Yeah, yeah.
And this man, he figured it out. And then, no one believed him, so we went to India. And then, he saved people there.
Yeah.
He also invented a vaccine for the bubonic plague. But I would say it was a bit late.
Yeah, 1892. You're like, yeah. That's,
he's like, I've cracked it.
Yeah.
I fixed the bubonic plague. And they're like, listen.
It's like now going, I've charted a pathway to America that the Titanic could have taken and arrived very safely.
Thank you.
Cheers. Yes, talk about closing the barn door when the horse has bolted the stable.
What a metaphor, Red. I think the invention in 1892 that changed both of our lives the most was that the Coca Cola company was incorporated.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Coca
Cola. Been around that long?
On the market, baby.
I love Coca Cola. And not just the drink. I love it as a brand.
It just makes you feel cool.
Makes you feel happy. When it's Christmas, you see the truck and you go, yep, it's time.
There's so many haters. They say, oh, well, it takes 10 glasses of water to make one Coca-Cola. And I'm like, well, rather than drinking 10 glasses of water a day, I'll just drink one Coca-Cola.
Yeah.
That is my health plan. That's what I've been doing.
Yeah. And people go, they're cutting down all the rainforests. Never had a glass of rainforest on holiday and gone, have you, Bobby?
No, just Coca-Cola.
Exactly. So it's been around that long. I remember someone telling me that there was a Mexican version that came out before that they ripped off, and it was called what is it? Cola Coca.
No, Red, you've misunderstood the story. Mexican Coke is when there's sugar. They have a different thing in Mexican Coke, a different kind of sugar that's tastes different.
Yeah. I didn't actually because I Wikipedia'd it when we were thing, and that is the
so
thing.
They ripped it off.
They bought them out in the 50s years later.
Yeah, I do actually avoid Coca-Cola. Like I had a period in the summer where I was probably drinking like 6 or 7 Coca-Colas a day.
That's disgusting.
And I don't know if that's what they recommend. I haven't read the packaging very well.
No, I don't think you.
But I was drinking 6 to 7 a day. And I thought just completely separate from that, I started constantly feeling like I was going to have a panic attack.
Yeah.
For a few months.
That's because you're having like a month's supply of sugar in one day.
Yeah, so for a few months, every day I felt on the edge of panic.
How are you not fat?
I exercise a lot.
No, you don't. You play golf once a week. And that will stop when you've had the kid, by the way. You're not golfing anymore.
I'm actually going to design a golf ball proof baby push pram with golf clubs.
And you could sell it on the... just sell it, and then in 100 years, when someone's got a podcast, probably similar idea to ours, they'll talk about Bobby Mair for 10 minutes.
No, this podcast will still be going, and our great-grandchildren will report back on our invention.
Yes, no, that's a good idea. We should get a tortoise now and see if it can last 165 years of the Year Is podcast.
I feel like, but if we just fed it what we eat.
No, it's better off with the sailors off the Turkish coast and the Mediterranean, whatever they were up to. I've done the thing, you know when people say that if you put your tooth in a cup of Coke overnight, it dissolves?
Yeah.
I've done that before and it doesn't. My tooth was still there, maybe because I got strong teeth, like an elephant's tusk.
Yeah.
But no, it didn't happen. Nothing happened.
You shouldn't spread that.
What?
Because if you tell people your teeth are like made of ivory, like an elephant's tusk.
Oh God, yeah. There'll be 7 poachers.
Poachers are going to come and rip your teeth out of your mouth. I would keep that to myself. If I had ivory teeth, I wouldn't tell one person.
One day you'll be sat next to a Chinese businessman on a flight and you'll just see my teeth on a necklace around his wife's neck.
It's good luck.
Yeah, it's very good luck. No, but that's so. What do you just feel like you're gonna have a heart attack? Did you not think? Oh, maybe. And also, how are you not sick? Like after I
felt sick. Like
Cokes.
Over the course of the few months, the Coke started tasting grosser and grosser, and like
that's your body going, please stop.
Please, we're dehydrated and tired. Please
your
stop.
Organs just hearing the ch, and they're like, oh God,
Stop.
Like an abusive husband and opening the door to come home.
Stop pumping this into us.
It's not good.
I just started feeling very, very panicked, but I didn't know what was causing it. So I was like, I just drink a Coca Cola and be like, I'm pretty anxious. I better have another Coca Cola.
Yeah.
And then throughout the day, I'd get more and more anxious. And to the point where I was like Googling like new medications to go on. I was like, I think I'm having like some kind of psychotic break from reality. And then the Coke just started tasting like less and less delicious.
Yeah.
Like it would just taste like my body was really trying to let me know like this is not good for you. Please give us water.
Yeah.
And whenever I was thirsty, I'd just drink Coke. And then one day I was like, okay, I feel like I'm going to panic. The Coke can't be helping. So for that day, I didn't drink Coke. And my anxiety went completely. Within a day, I went from being on the verge of a panic attack whenever I was awake to feeling fine.
And this is all while you're trying to find a vaccine. Is this or is this after?
This was during. I was still working on mine.
You Googled, why do I feel like this whilst drinking 8 Cokes a day? You didn't once, whilst opening a Coke, go,
no.
And you were our only hope for the vaccine for a brief period.
It turns out there was other hopes. I was just a hope.
The first hope.
Yeah.
But you turn out to be Anakin Skywalker.
No, more just an inept Jedi.
Yeah, I suppose, yeah.
More like the guy in the new Star Wars. What's the British guy's name?
I've not seen New Star Wars.
Well, the guy, they make it seem like he's going to be a Jedi.
And then he's not got the skills.
And he's just never really a Jedi.
You haven't got it, kid.
Yeah.
Get the fuck out of it. Oh, well, that's a lesson for anyone who listens to the podcast. Do not drink 8 Cokes a day. It's a very common mistake people make all the time, especially people under 10. So, yeah, Bobby learnt the hard way.
I was a 35-year-old man at the time.
Yeah.
And I just decided every time I'm thirsty, I'll drink a Coke.
Yeah. Water. There is a vaccine for cholera, as we've already established. So drink water. There we go. Stay hydrated and donate to Patreon.
If you live in an area where your tap water, people are getting cholera from your tap water.
Yeah.
And there's also a heavy supply of Coca Cola.
I don't think there's going to be.
Then I would say don't listen to Red and drink Coca Cola.
Yeah. Or if you want to be healthy, every time you think about having a Coca Cola, donate to our Patreon and have water instead, which will make us better and you better.
We don't have a Patreon.
We're going to get one.
Yes.
So they'll know.
Yes.
Anyway, 1892, another great thing happened. So many new and interesting things were developed this year. The first Sherlock Holmes book was released in a magazine. So they had stories from the adventures of Sherlock Holmes in a magazine published in London. And even 100 years later, they're still making blockbusters about that one short story that was in a magazine with Robert Downey Jr. and Jude Law. Which, imagine if in 100 years they make a movie about our podcast and they probably cast the Downey Jr. and Jude Law of the time to be in it. About all the wonderful adventures we got up to on here. Episode 5, Bobby drinks 8 Cokes and has a panic attack. There's a woman murdered, but Detective Bobby Mair has drank 8 Cokes and had a panic attack. so no one gets caught.
This is outrageous.
Well, why?
I'm being bullied.
You're not being bullied. You spent the whole episode, every episode, calling me fat, and you get a tiny little taste of your own medicine, and you don't like it.
If I was getting a taste of my own medicine, Red,
yeah, it'd be good.
It would be a vaccine, and I would be vaccinated. But since I never managed to invent a vaccine, I don't have any medicine.
No, fair enough. Have you read much Sherlock Holmes?
I find it all a bit boring.
Oh, okay.
There's some guy named Moriarty, and there's Watson.
Watson and Sherlock Holmes. Watson's his sidekick.
Who is a sidekick?
Me.
Who?
You.
No, you're my sidekick.
Not at all. Not at all. But no, so I loved it as a kid because when I was young, used to go to Devon a lot, and then I'd end up living there from the age of 10 to 18. And in Devon, one of the books is set on Dartmoor, where I have lots of family who live there. Have you been to Dartmoor?
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's miles of nothing but more. And one of the books was called Hound of the Baskervilles, which is like based on ancient myths about this like giant hound that would walk around at night and
like
kill
a dog.
People. Yeah, but giant dog, and it would like rip people's throats out and stuff. And the whole plot is that he released. There was a rich man who was very embittered, and he'd release the dog at night, and it would run around and just eat people's throats. It was very scary, especially if you're on the moor at night as a young boy with that wind that chills your bones.
Would you read it while on the moor?
We'd stay at my grandma's and like listen to it on story tape or like, whatever on a long car journey. And the moors, at night, it's like just you, one car. I don't know, in Canada you probably got that in these sort of like rural areas where it's just nothing for miles. So you can see like a car light from like 3 miles away and you're just driving along. Ooh. That's the scary stuff part.
I think about that a lot when I see like a big dog in the park. If this dog goes for me, how am I going to stop it?
Yeah, you're fucked. I always think that, when you see someone with a giant dog and they're like, I got cornered. My next neighbours, their kids come and stay sometime. They're grown-up kids. And they have this giant dog that, like you just go, whoa. And they leave it outside on a lead. And I used to do this walk past the house and it would just corner me, just barking. And they just lean out the window and go, he's really friendly. It's like, I don't know that. You know what I mean? Like, this is up to you. You decided to have this.
How old were you?
Oh, this is like 4 years ago. It was massive.
I thought you were telling me the story about why you're afraid of dogs
from
when you were like a kid.
No.
4 years ago, you were afraid of someone's dog.
It's a giant dog. I don't know what it is. It must be a special super breed. It was massive.
A super breed.
A massive dog. I've only seen one like that size in my entire life. So yeah, that was terrifying. But no, so this was always good for me. There's another Sherlock Holmes story where this guy hates his wife, and so they sleep in separate rooms. And so to kill her, he drills a hole through the wall, buys an expensive poisonous snake, and lets it go through the wall, and then it bites her when she's asleep, and he gets all the money.
Do you know what I'd do?
What?
Befriend the snake.
She didn't know he had the snake.
I don't think that. I call...
He was already friends with the snake.
I call bullshit on that storyline because I feel like just because I let a snake...
Mm-hmm.
Like, right now, if there was a snake in this room and I just sat still, I don't think the snake is necessarily going to come up and bite me.
No, you'd probably bite the person who bought you from India or wherever you were, which is the guy.
Yeah, like, why would the snake just bite someone just because they're in the room together? Is that what... I feel like snakes maybe bite when they're cornered, but they're not eating you. They bite because that's their defense.
Yeah. Well, if you step on, I suppose. But so if it came through the hole, you'd try and make friends with it. Like, what would you say to the snake as it was coming towards you?
I have a friend.
Hello.
I have a friend, and you're going to like how he tastes. Just go through this hole, and he's in the other room. I'd befriend the snake and put him on to you.
Okay, thanks a lot. But no, it's part of like in Dartmoor, there's loads of these myths. Like there's the one of this crying woman who got pregnant. A local like baron got her pregnant, and he was married, and so apparently she commits suicide off this thing. It's called Lover's Leap because she jumped off it. And apparently at night, if you go there at a certain time, you can still hear her crying, which is pretty scary.
It's probably just like the waves.
No, because it's just her crying.
Oh.
Waves don't sound like.
That's horrible.
If you could haunt someone, where would you go? What would you haunt?
I'd haunt your bathroom.
Why? While I'm taking a shit.
Just whenever you're in there, I'd say, you're fucking disgusting. What you're doing right now is awful. I can't believe this is what you're doing. And then I'd haunt your bedroom anytime you're doing anything sexual, I'd say, is that all you got?
Oh, God.
What is that really all you've got
I wish
now?
I hadn't asked. I think I'd haunt a gym.
I'd say like, I'd put a t-shirt on if I were you.
Oh, God. Well, it's actually making me want you not to die.
That would be how I haunt. Did you know that Sherlock Holmes had over 300 societies dedicated to him? Generally, the American members call themselves Sherlockians.
Oh, my God.
And the British members call themselves Holmesians.
Was the losers already taken?
Yeah. We call them the losers.
That's so... What? So what is a society dedicated to?
Sherlock Holmes.
Fucking hell.
Okay, this is a smaller story.
Mm-hmm.
But, I mean, it wasn't small to the people it happened to.
Yeah.
In 1892, an anarchist bomb killed 6 people in a police station in Avenue de l'Opéra in Paris.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Anarchists used all of the things from society to build a bomb and then blow up the police.
To stop society.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's weird that, isn't it? You go, what's the plan after this?
What, we all just live in the woods?
Yeah.
I just like the idea of a bunch of anarchists meeting in a Starbucks being like, we really need to take all of this down.
Yeah, it has to stop. And then they do it all, and then they go to get the tube home, and they're like, oh, wait.
Yeah. Oh, I live 15 miles from here. I guess I'll walk for 6 hours.
Let me try Uber. Oh, no, we just torched them. Yeah, it's quite an immature, sort of sad thing, isn't it?
You don't hear much about anarchists anymore.
You used to. I think it was like an 80s thing.
Yeah.
Anarchy, baby. And you're like, yeah, great, well done. And then they all voted Tory. They all voted Brexit and Tory 40 years later.
I would love to meet someone that used to be an anarchist.
Oh, if you look at all the 70s punks, what's their voting age now? You know, probably 60, 65. And what's the amount that voted for Tories in the latest election over 60s was like fucking 70% or something.
Yeah.
So everyone with a nose ring and dyed blonde Mohican who is like, fuck the Queen, baby, is now at home with some slippers on going, I don't think Jacob Rees-Mogg is actually that bad of a guy. Yeah. It's this sort of weird, like, dismantling everything without a plan afterwards.
And it's just so boring.
It's a student thing, I think.
Yeah. Like, I love modern society.
Mm.
I love all the conveniences.
Yeah.
Please don't take those away from me.
No, don't at all. Escalators.
Yes.
Ubers. Coca Cola.
What else?
Vaccines. There's loads to enjoy. Why do you want to stop it?
Well, I'm glad they didn't.
No, they didn't get the chance because you know what? With anarchy, it's not very well organized. You know what's well organized? The system. And the system has an army. And they are organized. There's zero anarchy in their training camps. Very regimented.
And hopefully, if you're listening, you're part of our army.
Yeah, I think you are. The year is army.
We're not calling it that.
Okay, what we're gonna call it?
We're not thinking of a name for our fans. We'll let them come up with it.
Okay.
If they want.
Listeners. I wouldn't call them fans. I'm not Mariah Carey.
No one thinks you're Mariah Carey. But if you enjoyed the episode, like, share, subscribe, Give us 5 stars. Whatever. Please get people to listen to this.
Yeah, help us. Otherwise, it's just 2 very pathetic men sat in a badly painted room.
One very pathetic man and one cool guy sat in a room painted by that pathetic man, now calling it pathetic.
Thank you very much, guys. See you next week. That was another episode of The Year Is. Thank you very much for listening. Please like and subscribe. Leave us a review. It all helps. I'd like to thank our producer, Jody. And also I'd like to thank Josh Weller for our intro music and song. It's very catchy. It's very nice. I'm sure you will enjoy it at the beginning. So big thanks for Josh Weller. He's on Instagram at Josh Weller. Josh Weller. Follow him and keep spreading the word of The Year Is. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.